guys, sorry. Um, I'm sitting here researching again this child abuse, neglect, and where Virginia is and has not been. And I came across this bill that goes into effect in a couple of days on July 1st. And I don't know how I missed it, because it has to be the most insane thing. And so when we talk about parental rights, okay, and why we don't codify them, okay, this here I found, and so the problem is that the patrons of this bill are VOGEL, BOYSKO, McClellan. Okay, so when you have a Republican and two of the most farthest left writing legislation, and this is a problem when you have committees and subcommittees and everything goes to 18, is that they make it almost literally impossible to keep up with legislation. Like literally. Unless you have money and you're a special interest group that only cares about one thing, and then they'll only give you pieces of it, and yada, yada, yada. Because this is the most insane thing. So this is filed under, we'll go back. So if you guys don't know how to read legislation, like if you pull a bill up, it's going to look like this. Okay, so you pull something up, like legislation. If you want to get back to the history of it, like I did, you go history, and you can see everything there. Like everything that happened, the whole thing, how it passed, okay? So I'm just gonna, and then you hit highlight, okay? This is to amend and reenact the Code of Virginia relating to child abuse or neglect. Definition, independent activities. Okay. So they call this protecting children. They added that no child whose parent or other person responsible, okay, that's the problem, for his care, I'm surprised they put his in there, allows the child to engage, no child whose parent or other person responsible for his care allows the child to engage in reasonable independent activities without adult supervision shall for that reason alone be considered to be an abused or neglected child, provided that such independent activities are appropriate based on the child's maturity, age, physical and mental abilities. Such independent activities include traveling to or from school or nearby locations by bicycle or on foot, playing outdoors, remaining at home for a reasonable period of time, or remaining in a vehicle if such vehicle is parked in a safe location and the temperature is not and will not become dangerously cold. So this says, so what we've done here is we've codified under protect parents against what, or whoever, no child whose parent or other person responsible for his care, okay, the show, okay, in loco parentis. So if you don't think that Boysko and McClellan, whatever Vogel's intent was, but co-parenting with those two to make it so that not only parents are protected, but other person responsible for his care, that would be in loco parentis every person in the school system, okay? So no person, no teacher, no guidance counselor, no parent or person responsible for his care. Babysitter, stop writing legislation with no definitions, okay? That the child to engage in reasonable and independent activities without adult supervision shall, for that reason alone, be considered to be an abused or neglected child. Okay, I think we're past the days where when the street lights come on, you come home. Okay, I think parents are beyond that. Drinking from the hose, all that stuff. So, provided that such independent activities are appropriate based on the child's age. Have you guys seen what they determined to be age appropriate? Maturity, physical, and mental abilities. Stop writing legislation that's going to be manipulated. But then it gets better. And again, I'm going to keep this quick. You're more than welcome to do all the research on this. And I'm going to go back and watch what happened here. So she filed on 111. Okay, so you can see here, pre-filed. Referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. So Edwards, Deeds, Saslaw, Norman, Lucas, Obashane, McDougall, Stewart, Stanley, Peterson, Searle, McClellan, Boysko. Look at that. McClellan, Boysko, Morrissey, Peake. They all thought this was completely reasonable. An entire committee. So, it was reported as, let's do it. And then the constitutional reading dispensed. Why would anybody? And that's when you get to the feckless, clueless, feckless, or corrupt. For all of these people, both parties, to think that it's not really protecting parents. And this is where we have to get with education, okay? Adding that or other person, okay? And it's blah, blah, blah. Stop writing legislation to help parents, period. But then it says here, Vogel printed a substitute, okay? For substitute printed, that would be here, highlight. So she added, so it says no child whose parent or other person responsible for his care, same thing, without it shall be alone be considered for abuse and neglected. It's the same exact thing, except she added, I don't know why, but unless such lack of supervision constitutes conduct that is so willful and wanton as to endanger the health and safety of a child. Okay, bravo. Whatever your realization was in there, guys. But then we go back to the history. Okay. So it was passed by for the day. It was passed by for the day. It was passed by for the day. So that means that they were talking to her. Beep, 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 beep. And then she did another floor substitute where that little tiny provision was removed. And they added a B, such lack of supervision does not constitute conduct that is so willful and wanton as to endanger the health or safety of the child. So her protection, guys, this is not reading legislation. So she changed it to, hold on. So she changed it to, unless such lack of supervision constitutes conduct that is so, unless that it endangers. They added, and such lack of supervision does not constitute, conduct that is so willful and wanton as to endanger the child or safety. Okay. And then, so that passed. And then I actually, if somebody can get in touch with Tim Shady, I would really love, so the House committee, but the one, Anderson, the one nay. Oh, wait, that's Senate. Wrong Anderson. My bad. I was going to actually give, House. Oh, no, that's Tim. Sorry, my bad. All these people voted it was a good idea. Ballard, Freitas, Herring. I mean, I'm floored. Okay? But Anderson, I would love to talk to Tim if you can get over yourself and contact me because I want to know it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch all this footage tomorrow, not tonight. So it was read the second time, read the third time. Committee amendments agreed to, but see, Vogel wrote the amendments. Oh, okay. Grossly negligent. So they added that in. And so that must have made him happy, which is why he grossly negligent, is why. Oh, amendments by Delegate Anderson agreed to. Bravo. Never mind. I don't need to have that conversation or have you back in my life. The House voted 96 House amendments agreed to by the Senate. This was a bipartisan, unanimous. And then the governor, and this goes into effect. So, okay, this is under, guys, just to clarify again. This is under the child abuse or neglect definition, child engaging in independent activities without supervision. Okay, so that's what this is under, what we're currently up against. So what ended up passing clarifies that no child whose parent or other person responsible for his care allows the child to engage in independent activities without adult supervision shall for that reason alone be considered to be an abused or neglected child. I'm pretty sure no matter how you Darvo, strawman, gaslight people, is that nobody's calling for their kid riding a bike somewhere. But it's this part right here. Or other person responsible for his care. Because in the world we live in, guys, that's everybody. And then in independent activities without adult supervision, okay, and it talks about such independent activities include not just traveling to school, nearby locations on your bike, playing outdoors, remaining at home for a reasonable period of time. Okay? And it doesn't give an age specification. What is a reasonable age? So a parent can, because they want to teach critical thinking and sex and give porn to our 5-year-olds, so you can leave your 4-year-old at home? This is protecting children? Who is this protecting? Because you're not abused or neglected if your parent or your teacher or whoever, because it's just anybody responsible for your care, they have to be age appropriate based on their maturity. Who determines this stuff? You all need to take a lesson in how to write legislation. And these people that are coming back in, if you're not contacting your people, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, what side of the aisles you're on, this, amongst the a million other ridiculous things that they have done to protect parents or protect children. Okay, guys, this is where the parental rights versus the rights of the child has a very bad problem. Okay, the rights of the people. I thought the left was for the rights of the child, because this does not read like protecting the child. This is, and I pull out, let me see, and this is what parentalrights.org actually sent an action alert to support reasonable childhood independence bill. Okay, read that again. Reasonable childhood independence. Okay, parental rights. Okay, why we don't want them is because these people are advocating for a reasonable childhood independence bill. Okay, enjoys broad partisan support from advocacy groups across the political spectrum. Parental I will have to talk to my parental right that's Parental Rights Foundation. Sorry, not PRE. ALEC. Oh my God, remember ALEC? All those people in the swamp that are in ALEC. Okay. This model bill, Virginia's legislation, homeschool defense league, Virginia Poverty Law Center, independent women's. I'm sorry, I don't see any actual people who lobby in Virginia. But I would love for Will Estrada to contact me and have this conversation with me. Joined with parents and advocates from across the political spectrum in testifying in support, which I'm going to have to go back and watch because I want to hear what they have to say. And if anybody spoke against this, I can watch it. I don't have time because you can watch Will's testimony to the committee here. Please, they literally wrote the delegate message to provide children with reasonable independence. See, guys? Okay, so the intent of the bill, which was written here, is not what it's about. Okay? The bill is to provide children with reasonable independence. Child rights over parent rights. It's not to protect parents. At a time when it seems that the government is encroaching more and more on loving parents and their ability to care for and raise for their children, SB 1367 provides freedom to parents to let their children grow and thrive, freeing Virginia's Department of Social Services to focus on children who are truly in danger of abuse or neglect. I'm sorry? Who are you, and are you involved in our state writing this? Oh, here, and then there's their letter. This will add Virginia to a growing number of states, including Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas, and Utah, that have recently amended their state child neglect laws to protect innocent parents from facing child neglect investigations. That is such a load of bull. Because if you go to the past two shows on the CPS problem that we're having, children are not getting taken from parents because they let them ride their bikes. Or they left their 13-year-old at home to run to the store. Okay? This is... Unnecessary child neglect investigations are not benign. Indeed, unnecessary... That's what this is about. They're trying to free up the courts because I read 15 more law reviews today and articles from the OIG and from FedEd and from the actual Justice Department on the rampant sex abuse that's been talked about across this nation for the last 10 or 15 years. And what they talk about is the reason that we don't want any more laws, that force responsibility on teachers raping children. It's because we can't clog up the court system, and then schools just don't have enough money to pay for those lawsuits. I'm not kidding you. I'm finishing the Substack tonight. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys, and this is again Senate Bill 1367. And this would be Vogel, not in office anymore. Boysko. I don't know what her deal is. I don't know where she is. I mean, she said, seems to me the department should have enough sense to know when the child is independent, when the child is abused. Girl, you would think that they would, but considering that we still have a anonymous tip line, you can call on your neighbor. And the problem is that they might, but CPS is going to come in your house like a wrecking ball, take your kids, then investigate you, and then 95% of the time, they get returned. But what happens between point A and point Z is the problem. Okay? And you don't ever face your accuser. So this, because guys, you have to understand the process. okay, once they're called, okay, is they can say, well, so-and-so left their 5-year-old home, and the parent or the whoever responsible can say, well, I mean, I deemed that a completely appropriate because of their maturity level. They're really, they don't, well, okay, they don't get returned. Okay, let me change that wording. Is that 95% of the cases don't actually, now whether the kids get returned, 95% of the cases don't always get processed through to where parental rights are removed. Okay, so that's a different story. But what happens between A and Z, if you get your kids back, I don't know if you guys read the article I posted somewhere, and it's called the 6-month death penalty, that after 6 months, the likelihood of getting your children back is a death penalty. And, you know, this is what I did for years before I had to fight K-12, PK-16, I think they call it now. And, you know, Tim Ballard, and that movie's coming out. This is just, especially, like, this Substack has been so hard to write because to find out how egregious Virginia has been in ignoring and protecting our children. On purpose. Okay, the other show I showed you guys, you know, the legislation that, you know, Bryce Reeves and them did back in 2014, is that, and this is, it's all about money. Clinton, Safe Family Adoption Act, it's all about money. And so I hope all of you go and watch Project Free, or what's it called? I'm having a brain fart. Freedom. It's by the Tim Ballard, Jim Caviezel. It's coming out July 3rd. Because I want you to watch that, and I want you to understand and start to understand the intersection between schools, social workers, CPS, and then go watch the movie. Sound of Freedom. Yes, thank you, Patricia. I was having one of those moments. Sound of Freedom. Okay, I think you can probably go by. He was doing Tim Ballard, who I actually had the pleasure of doing research for Operation Underground here in Virginia. There are, I mean, Chesterfield, I mean, different parts, Newport News, Norfolk, they've done big stinks here. Is that Virginia is one of the most disgusting, it's one of the Dirty 13 because we have no oversight. It's like a free-for-all. And like I said, I posted on Facebook, anybody that we are going to start a division, because you can't talk about education and not talk about this portion of it, especially when it comes to the transgender. And when we talk about, you know, equity and how it's great for people, like welfare is great for people. Well, I'm sorry, but it's not, because black children, transgender children get taken more than anybody. Gender dysphoria children, I don't even know the percentage at the moment because the rate of how many there are have skyrocketed, is that they have criminalized poverty in CPS. So tell me how welfare helps black children. And this is where the thing comes in. I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot. We are Virginians for children first. Okay? And everybody needs to catch up to speed as to what both political parties are doing, or we're going to flush an entire generation of children that's still left down the toilet. And that's what I'm going to end it with. Get over yourself. Tell people, get over your political affiliation. Look at the governor, look at Boysko, look at McClellan, look at Vogel, look at everybody failing our children. I don't care what side of the political aisle you fall on. Because 100% of these children are going to end up, whether they just you didn't affirm them, they take them. They're not going to go to Boysko or McClellan's home. They're going into foster care. We're so divided by hate, by what's between our legs. Okay, that stuff is important, especially the the porn, okay? And the sex, they're having sex with so many kids in Virginia, it is beyond belief. And they've actually made law to protect the teachers. Because why? Just like this bill, They don't want to clog the court system. The schools don't have enough money to pay out lawsuits. I'm not kidding you. That's the stuff I've been reading all day. That's their excuse for not protecting our children. Money and a clogged court system. So when I read this, it was the most nonsensical piece of... But then when I found the letter attached to the bill, because that's where you really find the information, again, is that the bill reads as, we're going to make it so that parents can't be charged, but then it's really interesting that parentalrights.org words it as reasonable childhood independence bill. Where would they get that from? To clarify that a loving, caring parent who allows his or her child to engage in independent activities will not be considered to be negligent of the child. Okay. Many schools will... Oh, yeah. But the thing is that... do you know that we are one of the only states that has not actually criminalized teacher assault on children? You would think it wouldn't need to be codified. It's a crime. Let me see if I can pull up my Facebook. I posted it earlier. Just one of the images from this report that I found. One of the only states. No, I say only. There's like 10. Yes, Virginia is part of the Dirty 13. It means they funnel the money from the federal government. The middle, like 30 states, have some state oversight, state paperwork. The top, it's like Vermont and like those like states, they're like the higher end. They actually have uniform paperwork. They have an oversight, like here. Virginia's one that is county by county. It is the wild, wild west here. Every county is different. They will, if you guys don't know about, my brain's fried. Like they'll give you an emergency plan, like a plan, sign this. And once you get here, we'll give you your kid back. And they make it so it's things like if your child's obese, like they'll make it so ridiculous that you can never attain it. Do not ever sign an emergency plan, like an action plan for your child, first of all. Do not ever hand your child over because they will carry around with them duplicate papers with generic, and they will fill it out like it's a warrant. But the judge has pre-filled out, and they just have sitting in the office stacks of these. It's like having stacks of warrants signed by judges, and you just go in and you fill out whatever you want. The judge has never actually seen it. This is what CPS does, guys. So, let me find it real quick. Oh, this right here. So this, I made a post earlier today in my research, and it says... We are one, because I want to start that we're expanding. We are one of the few with zero laws criminalizing educator sexual misconduct. So you can see here, white, no, criminalizing educator sexual misconduct. White, white, white. And I bet is that 13 states? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It could be. Or close to, and I bet that the states match up with the Dirty 13. We have nothing criminalizing. Not that we should have to. But that's how they're getting away with this. And so when we talk about the conspiracy about why Amanda Chase and Matt Strickland and Mike Allers and all these people didn't get in, and those of you that are like, oh, just get over it. No. We won't get over it because the people who we're going to go in, not running on I'm going to support a governor's conservative agenda, that we're free thinkers. We're going to fight back who took time to understand every single thing I'm talking about. When there is that's a systemic problem. Okay, this would be Marie March. This would be Lance Allen. Is that, I'm not a statistician, but when none of them, their popularity skyrockets compared, is that there's a problem. There's a setup going on. But that's how bad it is. And everybody's like, oh, Anne, play nice because, you know what? There's not going to be anybody to support your legislation. Here's the thing. I had 5 delegates, 2 senators support education transparency. Do you know what the RPV did? When they printed out their little education legislation packet, they left out all of it. Freitas, Avoli, Ransone, Reeves, Chase, none of it in their little packet of education legislation. So you can fight for it. Think about it. Why didn't the news medias? Because they don't want you knowing what your rights under the law are. And here's the thing. We don't need any more law. We have to know how to fight for our rights that exist under God, natural law, okay, common law, the Supreme Court. And nobody's coming for us, as this thing as the little picture should. They're not. That's one of my husband, 30 Seconds. It's a war movie, but is that nobody's coming, guys. It's up to us. And I'm so disgusted by this. I have to go. But this Substack, and I know I've been saying I've been writing it forever, but as a researcher, I have to, but I'm gonna have to end up putting it as bullet points and then write a book, because there's just no way. But you have to know how much sex abuse, rape, sodomization. Then there's the physical assault, beating 3-year-olds, nonverbal special education kids, and the rate that they are found not guilty and sent back to school is disgusting. These are children. They are then turned into the victim. They are then the bad person. Like I saw one in Facebook from years ago, and they were like, "Take this down. The child lied," and it was. I mean, and then there were some comments that were like, I mean, the boy was 16. And then there were some comments like, I mean, she's hot. Is it really a joke to you? But the argument that he can consent because he's 16, no, I'm sorry, guys. They stand in loco parentis, which means that they are standing in the position of a guardian, which is the same thing as saying, well, she can have sex with her son. He's 16. And children can't consent, guys, period. Sped kids are at increased risk. It's disgusting. They always get removed from homes in medical kidnapping. You're absolutely right. Sped kids, and that's the thing, that's the problem. Is sped kids is that they'll file a charge on a sped parent like this. But the amount, if you look up the special education children that have been physically abused, yanked out of their wheelchairs, nonverbal children had hot sauce poured down their throat. The last 2 shows, almost every story that I pulled that was not sexual abuse was special education. And then now that we've got Head Start, we've got the preschool problem. Yes. Good point, Patricia. Huge case in nearby Tennessee regarding a sped teacher who abused several young teachers, or several young students, facing civil charges as well. But see, here's the problem with that. Tennessee has what? Law criminalizing. They will charge the teachers. They will send them to holy hell. And guys, here's the thing too, is that if you fail to report, so all these divisions that are getting away with not reporting, read the law. read the law. Is that, yeah, and so that's the thing. Go, and this is what I do. When I see things like this, I go to look to other states because I kept reading these articles being like, teacher going to prison for 30 years. Okay, well, how come ours got off 20 years with all but 2 weeks suspended for raping 8 children? You have to start thinking, like, the why. Why is this here? Why are they getting away with it? Why are so many getting away with it? And then the answer is because we are abject failures. And then you have to question, what are you going to do? Because playing nice, I will never sit in a pit of snakes, a viper pit, especially the women in the Republican Party. The women in the General Assembly make me want to vomit. Literally. Because they're mothers. Okay? Especially the Republican mothers make me want to vomit. The left, they're loony. It's like a cult, okay? That you can't talk to. They literally, they've been raised that you can't, okay? The right has sold their soul to the devil. If you can't swallow that pill of truth, if you can't swallow that pill of truth, it means that you don't understand education. Because all of this, everything has been planned in Virginia for 40 years, and it's about education. From Virginia Power, you want to talk about power, big pharma, black whatever, it's all about education. All of it is about education. Okay? People are pissed about the WHO and the da-da-da because of the jab. Well, guess what, guys? You can opt your kid out of the jab. You fought back on the jab. And the 1 in 7 that resisted that are the reason that we don't have vaccine passports. But when your kid is getting injected into their brain in every single curriculum poison, and you can't fight about that, but you put a mask on them and a jab, hell no. You want to talk about unconstitutional mandates? Federal education is unconstitutional, guys. So I have no idea what this party is doing at this point. What this party is. I have no idea what the parents are doing. I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. Because the more I expose, the more silence I get back, the more excuses I get. It really does. I would rather go work for Tim again and do research and recover children. Will I? No. Because the kids that I will be leaving to the parents who won't stand up will be the ones who I will then have to be researching to recover. So go watch the movie and imagine those children are going to be our children, your children. If you don't get over your false idol and your political affiliation, and if you question it, do some research. How about that? It's not that hard. You can actually Google this stuff. No dark browser, no anything. It's out there. You just have to want it or make a little bit of effort. Like how much you studied about the vaccine and how wrong the vaccine was. How many hours did you spend on saying no and resisting the vaccine? But here we are with our children failing every single day.